I know you were born in Jamaica. Tell us about that story and how you got to where you are.
Yeah. So, yes, I was born in Jamaica. I finished high school at 16, which is actually not uncommon in Jamaica. And we were very poor. My parents did not know what I would be doing after. They couldn't send me on to further education. So, I had an opportunity to come to America. And so I ended up coming. I had $100. That's all my parents could afford to give me. And wasn't sure where I was going to stay either. But a family friend took me in, and that was the start of my journey here. And of course, when you're in Jamaica, you hear people return and it always seems like they're living this luxurious life. So when I came, I thought it was going to be 1, 2, 3. I was going to have great opportunities and I would just go on to college, etc. And that was far from the truth. Everyone around me was living paycheck to paycheck. I had a job paying me $75 a week. And so I had to budget that. And I wanted to go back to college. I wanted to not live paycheck to paycheck anymore. And so what I did was I literally took that $75 and started budgeting and it putting money away in what's called a susu. It's a common thing in the West in the Caribbean where you pool money together and every week someone gets a certain amount of the pot, whether it's $1,000. And so I would save up and I used that to be able to pay my way through college. And once I graduated college at 25. I graduated debt free because I was also undocumented. So I couldn't get student loans anyway. So I paid for college. But in between, I ended up getting a really great job at Goldman Sachs. And while I was there, I was making 4 times what I had been making for all these years. And I pretended like I was still making the same amount.
Mhm.
And I saved that money. And so at 25, I was able to purchase my first home. And one of the first things that I learned was that you could house hack. So instead of buying a home for a one family home, I ended up buying a home that had 3 units. I lived in one and I rented out two of them, and that was able to help me to start on my wealth building journey. So I think even though it was a lot of scarcity in my family, as I was growing up, actually, one of the things that my parents did that looking back now was like one of the best things they could have done. Well, my mom, she was always ill. So I became the caretaker of the family at a very young age. So I
Okay.
would go to the market to buy things and I would go to the supermarket as the shop to buy things. And I had to figure out how to spend that little money that she gave me. And so having that knowledge and coming here, I was able to say, okay, this is my $75. How do I break it down? Just like when I was in Jamaica and had to go to the market and buy everything to make sure that we have enough for the week in the house, and then maybe have a little to buy something to treat myself. So treated it the same way, but I took it to the next level where it was, okay, I have this little money I need to spend. I learned very early about this notion of paying yourself first. I don't remember where even that idea came to me,
Okay.
but I think my biggest thing was I have an opportunity. I got to came to America. I need to change the trajectory of my life and my family's lives. And in order to do that, I got to figure this thing out. I got to figure out how to make this money work. And I think that was my driving force in saying, okay, if I make this, how do I allocate it so that I can do all of that? And that's where that came from.
Got it. So while your family of origin didn't give you the education about money, they gave you a vision for your life, it sounded like. Because you also said that they couldn't afford to send you to college, but at least college was a thing. It's like, we
Oh,
don't know how
yeah.
we're going to make that happen. And here we're going to send you to the United States.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. Because I always wonder, we come up with our stories, our money story, everybody's got one. But somehow folks that make it change it some kind of way. Granted, some people are born with the money story that I learned about their father taught them how to invest in real estate or whatever.
Right.
That's not a lot. I know probably not most of the people that he learned, go to school, get a job, work, 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 work some more. And then maybe one day you can retire with enough. And you always look, I'm just saw a thing on TV, living on a fixed income. I got to live on my fixed income and not do the things, not have like, we don't want, I don't want, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
But work, 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 and then not enjoy my life. I actually want to enjoy my life the whole time and then not work anymore and continue enjoying it at the same rate that I was enjoying it when I was working.
Yeah,
That's my goal. My goal is also to make sure that people have options, particularly women have options. And if you don't want to work full time, you don't have to work full time and you can have the lifestyle that you want.
absolutely. And you said a couple things which I just wanted to touch on too. My parents were big on education. Like that was a big deal for them because they felt like that could help us to not live the life that they lived.
Yeah.
And you're correct. Like one of the things that was very important to me because when I came, like people would say to me, well, why are you going to school? Like you could become a CNA or you could become this. Why are you struggling like this? And I said, I want to struggle now because I don't want to struggle later. I don't want a job that don't give me the potential to earn more. So even when I worked at Goldman Sachs, I remember when I graduated, there was this position that came up and I remember a lot of people were going to work in this position, but it was almost like what you call a job with no career opportunities. It was just a job. And I am a CPA and I wanted to go to work for a big five because I knew the potential there. So even then, the salary that I was going to be paid when I graduate college, if I took that job, was almost twice what I was going to be making if I went to the big five at the time. But I
Okay.
still decided to go to the big five because I knew the opportunity that it would offer me longer term, as opposed to looking at the very myopic view of saying, okay, I'm going to take this job now.
Make more money now.
Yeah.
This is a for sure. I'm gonna have this. Got it.
So it's exclusive. So basically, this is the way a lot of people are able to do like big things, like buy houses. A lot of immigrants who come here, that's how we're able to buy houses. So essentially, what we do is, let's say there were 10 of us and we want to save towards a goal. And we only have like $20 that we could put away a week. So every week, we ship up the 10 of us, put the $20 away. That
Okay.
would give us, if I do my math correctly, $200, right? But if you multiply that 20 and it's now 200, then it gives you 2000. So
Right.
every week, there are 10 of us. So over the course of 10 weeks, all of us are putting this money in, and one person is going to get that pot each week. It's a big trust thing because if people decide to take that pot and not pay in
I'll come
anymore,
back. Yeah.
you're out. But it's something that's worked for generations that has helped a lot of us to be able to save. So I would pay every week religiously. I always said I wanted my amount at the end just in case I lose my job or whatever the case is. I don't have to worry about paying it back. And so I continuously did that until I got to my 20s and I started to find more sophisticated ways of saving. But that was the thing that helped me. That's the thing that has helped a lot of immigrants who have come to this country who have purchased their homes or even paid their way through school.
So with the Susudu, how do you spell it, by the way?
I think it's SUSU. In Jamaica, we call it partner. So different countries
Okay.
call it different names, but I think it's SUSU.
Okay. So is there a vote on who's gonna get the money or how does that work?
So there's like a main banker, and
Okay.
that banker, like if you've been doing it for a long time, technically the way it works is the person who took their money last, next round would get it first. But it's just an agreement. If there are 20 of us, we'll say, okay, I need my money soon. So can I have my hand? We call it our hand. Can I have my hand first? And the bank would say, okay, you'll get your hand first. And then we'll just go down the line. There's usually just an agreement is all informal,
Uh-huh.
and then you just have an agreement on who's going to get what draw. And then let's say you and I wanted to exchange, we'll probably talk like, hey, something came up. I need my money sooner. And then we'll go to the banker and say, hey, can she have it instead of me?
Huh. Love that idea. I love that idea. I think I've heard of it a little bit, but that's thank you for sharing that. So very nice way for people to work together to
Yes.
help each other move forward.
Yes,
And there's
absolutely.
trust involved in it. You have to be with people that you trust, which is in everything in our lives, actually, especially with investing in things. You have to know who you're putting your money with so that you don't lose. Sometimes you lose, even if you felt like you
Yeah.
need them, but you really want to get to know them. Okay, so you got here, you did your savings, you went to college ultimately, you got your CPA, your MBA, and then you were working with Goldman Sachs and you went with the Big 5, and somewhere along the line, you decided to start your own business called Grow Your Wealth. Why did you do that?
Yeah. So I spent 24 years in corporate. I've worked for some major corporations in banking and insurance industry. But in the meantime, As I said, like a lot of people in my community just didn't have financial education. So as I was going through learning and teaching myself about personal finance, one of the things that I felt was really important was to give back to the community.
Mhm.
So about the same time I started my career, I also and I started a stock market investment club. So co-founded. So I ran it for 6 years. And one of my mission when we started that was to give back to the community, to go out, whether it's to churches and start teaching people about money, just about credit, about how to buy a house. And so I started doing that 20 something years ago. And I would continue to do that through organizations that I was a part of as well. And so naturally, when I sat and thought about my future and what I want to do, you hear this question asked all the time. What is something that you would do if you never get paid that you could do for the rest of your life? And for me, teaching personal finance was it. Like there was no question, no doubt about it. So when I finished grad school in 20, I think it was 2020, I decided that I was going to start Grow Your Wealth as my ultimate goal of leaving corporate and just doing this full time. But in the meantime, I had a car accident and ended up having to leave my job and ended up also having to put Grow Your Wealth on hold to a certain
Okay.
degree while I healed from the car accident. But, just having the clients come in and seeing them coming in and saying, I know nothing about personal finance to walking out saying, I'm going to be your first millionaire client is something that just affirms to me so much why Grow Your Wealth and why now.
Yeah. Wow. So you've had a life. Okay. So we're gonna go back to you're in the United States. You also have 2 children. You got
Yeah.
married, you bought property, you had the investment club that you taught and worked with each other on investing in the stock market, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
You've got some real estate investing yourself. You had a car accident that made you put so many things on hold. And while you were healing from the accident, you're able to talk, right? And so you were still in this, your mind is probably working like crazy because I can't do all the things. I can't run around like I was running around like a crazy person. So now you can think and grow your wealth. You had started that, but now I'm sure it really grew in your mind that this financial education is the thing. And then when people come to you and are starting to talk and you realize that they don't really understand what they're doing and they realize they don't understand what's going on, just the basics and seeing those light bulbs go off,
Yeah.
the that's the thing, and it drives me too. When people finally understand, women finally understand that it's not just about running this rat race, this hamster wheel of job. I gotta keep going to work, keep going to work, keep going to work, keep going to work. It's the only way I'm gonna make money, and basically you are living paycheck to paycheck, even if you're putting some in a 401k. And I have a whole thing about the stock market and whether or not that's gonna be there or not. And I know you work with a lot of people helping them get to their retirement, make sure that's gonna be safe. Well, I work with people with getting passive income as they go along so they can have those options. We are so much aligned, so much aligned. Give us a story about one of your clients, somebody who you saw that light bulb go off. And do you have your first millionaire client yet? Are they still out there working it, pushing it, and getting there?
I don't have my first millionaire client as yet, but this one client, I speak about her a lot because her story is so interesting. Her husband became ill, and she said, and they weren't really sure whether or not he was going to, but he's fine now.
Okay.
But she said, in that moment when she found out, she realized that she knew absolutely nothing about their finances, like nothing at all. So when he came back, and he was able to talk and stuff. He went through everything with her. This is where this is, blah, 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 blah. But she said, what if he didn't come back?
Mhm.
And so when she contacted me, she said, I'm so scared. I have zero ideas. And she just kept saying to me, are you sure I can do this? And I
Mhm.
said to her, I'm 100% sure you can do this. So she came into the program and I worked with her. And the first thing I did with her is mindset because coming in and just that story about money and I don't know if I could do this, and I remember her saying to me afterwards, she was like, I came in because I wanted to learn about all this other stuff. And you started with mindset. And I was like, oh, what is this? And she said that was the best thing that she could have done because once she did that mindset and she started to write her goals down, it drove her to all the other parts of the program to help her to see why she needs to do this, why she needs an emergency fund. And the funny thing is, she never told her husband about it. She said she wants it to be a surprise. And so for weeks and weeks, we worked one on one together. And in the end, she had an emergency fund. She paid off her debt. She used to take vacation on a credit card. She was able to take her vacation without a credit card, all without a raise, by the way, just restructuring her finances. But then here's the kicker. There was this job that she was offered, not she wasn't offered, that came up at her workplace. And she said, I really want that job, but I don't qualify. I had applied for it, I didn't qualify, it's posted again. I sat with her, and this is not something that I had thought of offering at all. I redid her resume and we did mock interviews. I've done tons of interviews and resumes in my career with students and just interviewing people
Right.
coming into our company. Not only did she get the job, she got a 40% raise. She said, I walked in, I was so confident. I asked these questions. She was like, Tanya, I can't believe this is me. Since then, she's had two other promotions. She just contacted me last week to say to me, hey, Tanya, I got another promotion. I'm now running this area. And I was just like, oh my God. And she's the one that said, I am, and she reminded me again, I am going to be your first millionaire client. I still have my emergency fund. I'm still doing this. I'm still doing that. So she stands out to me as someone who really just like, if she had just sat and did nothing, would have just still been doing the paycheck to paycheck thing, struggling in debt. And
And
it's just amazing how she turned her life around.
and never believed that she was worthy of even talking about that other job that she got turned down for. That mindset thing, not it only doesn't only change your mind for money, it changes your mind
Your
for
whole life.
life. Your
Your whole
life.
life.
You wanna cry because we don't get it. We walk into something thinking, "Okay, I just wanna make my finances better." Your finances aren't gonna get better until you change your
You've
mind.
gotta shift. You
Gotta
gotta shift.
change your mind and
Yeah.
realize that this is possible. We are so many of us are raised with a scarcity mindset of money, me included, and I work every single day to fight that because sometimes the bank
It's
account
big
doesn't look
plus.
exactly like I want it to look, and I can get scared and wanna go into the covers and hide my face, and I go, "Come on now, that money is everywhere, and you will always be taken care of. Get up, let's go."
Yes.
It's a daily thing for me, it really is, and it makes me mad that it's still a daily thing,
Mhm.
but it's still a daily thing.
At least you're conscious of it, though, and I think that's the big thing.
It's
Yeah.
yes, that consciousness and knowing what it's like, "Come on."
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
my coaches says to me I said something to him, and he looked at me, he goes, "Now is that true?" I was like, "Oh, crap." Just a simple question, "Is that true?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, no." Like, and how many things can you look at in your life that show that the evidence that you have in your head, the thing that you have in your head, you have evidence in your life that is not true. Just
Yep.
look at it. It's so amazing to me. So amazing to me. Where are you in the world? You told me New York. Yes.
Yes.
That's where you
I'm
live.
in New
Okay.
York right now. Yes.
Okay. And you're taking new clients? Anybody out there who's looking to change their mind, figure out how their money works? Because money does work and it should work for you, not vice versa.
Absolutely. Yes.
However, how do they get in touch with you and grow your wealth?
So, my website is growyourwealth10x.com, and I'm also on LinkedIn, Tanya Taylor, CPA, MBA, as well as Instagram at Grow Your Wealth 10x. So that's how they can find me. I'm also on Amazon. I have two books that I wrote. One
I
is
was gonna say,
called Broke to Wealth, which is actually right here.
okay.
This book, I've had people on my Amazon reviews. I've had college students and I've had people in their 60s talk about how this book has helped them. So I really rotate for anyone who's looking to start and to understand personal finance. And I feel like it's reaching people just looking at the reviews that I've seen on Amazon.
Show
And
it
as
up
I
one more
mentioned,
time. Show it one more time. There we
this
go.
is Broke
Broke
to
to wealth.
Wealth.
Okay.
Yes. And as I was writing this book, as I mentioned, I had a car accident. So navigating long-term disability, first of all, not having long-term disability insurance could send you into bankruptcy. And there's a
Yes.
lot of people. I did a poll on LinkedIn asking people, and there's so much misinformation or lack of information on the people understanding what their long-term disability is, whether or not they have it. And so I actually did a TED talk on that. So I encourage folks to watch that TED talk. It could really enlighten you into understanding the urgency if you don't have long-term disability of getting long-term disability insurance of
Insurance.
getting it, because it was a wake-up call for me when I had my car accident. And so as I wrote this book, I also decided to write this book, which is called Limitations to Limitless, but it's really just strategies to put in place to protect your finances if you were to suffer a disability. It's
Okay.
been 3 years since I had my disability, and it's been a wake-up call for me, like, all the financial scaffolding that I thought I had in place, I realized how easily they could fall apart if I didn't have certain other things, but propping them up. So, it's
Yeah.
really important that we understand that, and I feel like that's a part of my mission now to really start talking to people. I don't sell long-term disability insurance, but it's something that I really advocate for all these reasons, and because I've gone through it and seen how devastating your finances can be if you don't have some kind of protection.
Do you know what the statistic I know the statistic is that you're more likely to be disabled in your job than to die in this, but I don't know the statistic.
So the statistics is very scary. 1 in 4 Americans over 20 will become disabled before they become 65. That's pretty significant. And the second statistics, it's 44%. And depending on the website or the research that you look at, it's higher. But let's go with the 44% of people who file for bankruptcy do so because of medical issues, because of it could be job loss, but some
Yeah,
sort of disability. And that's pretty significant.
that's really that. We know that a lot the highest cause of bankruptcy is is medical care, medical bills. Oh my god,
Yeah.
we could go into a whole thing about medicine, billing, and all that kind of stuff. This is really, really good. We got a lot of work to do. You and
Yes.
we got some stuff to get done. How are your kids doing? How are your children doing with money and how are they growing and understanding? And do you feel like you've gotten through to them? Because sometimes we feel like we're on this path and we're doing it and the kids are looking like, what are you talking about?
So, my children are very interesting. So, I also had a children's financial education club, which I ran for probably about 5 years, and I introduced them to Wall Street, budgeting, investing. My children know so much that they don't realize that it's not normal, that they don't
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
So, like, when they were younger, they were given credit cards since they were 8, and they were given a green light savings card, which, probably some people have probably heard of, not heard of, but it really is a good way to help children to budget. I used to have my children do vision boards, and also they had to do a budget every year, and that's how they were able to spend their money.
Okay.
They hate everything about it, but they do it almost
In their
unconsciously
head.
now
Mhm,
because
mhm.
you'll hear them if they look at their bank account, "Oh, my bank account's going down. I need to earn money," or "I need to not spend so much. I need to make sure I stay in my budget." So it's all there, but if we talk to them about it, they'll just recoil, just like any teenagers. My daughters are 19 and 17. They'll recoil, but I observe them all the time, and I'll hear them have conversation. The first thing they say since they were very young, we walk into a restaurant, "What's my budget?"
Yeah.
And we go in a supermarket, what's my budget? Because they were allowed to pick their own things out. And for me, I wanted that to become a natural thing for them. So when they go to college, I don't have to worry about them and getting credit card debt and all of that stuff. And so all of that has been taught to them. And I feel very comfortable now that one is away. This is her second year and seeing how she operates with her money.
Yes.
So
Yeah. My daughter, the way I realized that my kids got it, or at least my younger one, who's the one I worried about a little bit more, is when she got a job. She'd been gig working, walking, da, 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 and doing fine. She wasn't asking me for any money. And then she got this job she had interviewed for twice. She got it. And she goes, "But mom, I don't know. Should I take it? What if I get used to that money?" It's like, don't get used to the money. Just live like don't get used to it. And she doesn't. She irritates me a little bit. It's like, "Honey, you got the money. You could buy that. You can
that's good.
My proud mama moment. She went to buy she did I got "Honey, you need a new car." She said, "Yeah, but I just don't want a car payment. I think I'm just gonna pay for it." I'm like, "What kind of car are you gonna buy?" She goes, "I'm gonna get this car," and like, da, da, da. I was like, "Well, how much is that gonna cost?" "I don't wanna spend more than $21,000." Like, she bought her car, $21,000 cash. 20 she's
Wow.
29 years old.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. Good for her.
And knowing her,
That
I don't
means
ask her specifically, it's like she didn't spend all her money to do that.
right, right,
She
right.
had some
Yeah,
still left to be able to
yeah.
take care of some things. She's amazing, amazing.
That's awesome.
So, everybody, it's possible when you're looking at your kids and you feel like they don't get it at all, we just little things help them to
Yeah,
and even when they don't wanna talk about it, you watch them, they're getting it. You
yeah, they
know
get it.
they picked it up. They picked it up.
Yeah.
So, how we try not to swear in front of our kids because we don't want them to be swearing out in public and saying things embarrassing you and all that kind of stuff. Start talking about money. We make it such a secret. We don't want our kids to know when we're struggling with money. We don't want them to know when we have a lot of money. We don't seem to even have these conversations. We have to have the conversation so that
Yeah.
money becomes less of an
It's
enigma, less of something
yes.
to be afraid of. And it's like, this it's just money.
Yeah.
Everybody's got it. Some got more, some have less, but we all have it. We all need it. It's like arms and legs. Everybody's got them.
Yep.
Almost.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. No, I agree. Absolutely. And I agree with you where you said like we don't talk about the struggles. I think it's very important to just be open. Yeah, you don't wanna say, "This is how much I make and this is how much you're gonna get," because my husband always say, "Don't tell them how much you're gonna get. It's something to happen." So we find that balance, but I do feel like even being home these past 3 years, not working, I have very candid conversation with my children about the finances because it's a little different.
Mhm.
So we have to figure out, okay, this is where this happens, this is where that happens, so that they know and they don't have these wild expectations about things and they can adjust as well. And so I think that when we don't and we pretend like everything is fine, then your child goes off and think, okay, I could pay for this, I could pay for that. I don't have to think before I swipe my credit card. And that those are
Think for
conversations we
that.
need to have, or they're going to end up in serious debt.
Or if they never heard us struggle or never heard us talk about we have to do this, this, and this to get out of this problem, when they get in a problem, think I'm the only person that has this problem. I don't know
True.
what to do because I've never seen this before. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
mom had this. She did
Yes.
this. She got over. She's still walking. Let me just figure this out. That's the biggest thing for me is to realize that icky things happen all the time.
Yep.
You just keep going. You figure out, okay, how am I going to deal with that and go? It's just
Absolutely.
and we don't ever show them that struggle part of money, that difficult part about it, because it's always there, or even difficult things in life in general, relationships, all that stuff. And this doesn't have to be the details of it, but they see it and they make
Yeah.
their own, they interpret it how they interpret it. But if we have a conversation around it as light or high level as you want to have it, or deep into the depths of it, at least they know that they're not the only person doing this or going through this when they're older in life. That's my
Correct.
biggest thing. Is like stuff happens to me. It's like, why did my mom tell me this was going to happen? I never want my girls to have that, and they didn't know that was going to happen. It's like
Yeah.
these are the things. This is like life changes, body changes, all these things, and you're like, somebody didn't tell me this. All right,
Yep.
Tanya, one more time. Grow your wealth. Instagram, you guys, I know you're busy, you're doing stuff, you're listening to this on your earbuds, a million things. It's in the show notes. You should get to know Tanya. Find Tanya, follow her on Instagram, get to her LinkedIn if you're on LinkedIn. Get one of her books. What Broke to Wealth?
Thank you, Mom. Yes.
Broke to Wealth.
On Amazon, they're both on Amazon, yes.
Okay.
And this one, I think we all don't think we're ever gonna have an accident or whatever disability comes. It happens,
Yes.
and if you have the tools to prepare you ahead of time so you can navigate it, do it.
Yeah. Be ready. Be prepared is the biggest thing. Just be ready for everything. Tanya, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Looking forward to just spending a lot more time with you here in the future.